Welcome to In the Studio on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffany. Well, we know there is a lot of music going on in Davis. On this show alone, I've spoken with organizations hosting musical events covering a variety of genres, and I've spoken with a number of both choral and chamber music groups. So I was excited to learn recently that here in Davis, we also have more informal music gatherings. Twice a month, Ken Celli facilitates a jazz jam. These are open to musicians of any age and any instrument who are proficient in their instruments but looking to improve on their solo or improvisational chops. A 21-year resident of Davis, Ken retired from state service a few years ago. He's been playing the mandolin for about 17 years and the guitar before that. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So tell us about these two monthly jams, the slow jam and the experienced jam.
Well, first, the slow jam is exactly what it is in the title. It's a slow jam. It's for people who are proficient in their instrument, as you said, who are looking to expand their improvisational skills. This is not a beginner class per se. It's more like uh, a jam. It's not even a class, by the way. It's a jam. It's where people are coming to basically throw their musical spaghetti against a wall and see what comes of it. And through doing that, you improve your improvisational chops. And so the slow jam, we will talk about things, some theories, some, musical issues perhaps may come up, but it's an opportunity for people to feel encouraged and um, you know a nurturing space for people who want to try to solo over jazz rhythms. So uh, what we do is we you know start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We go till 5, and there may be some discussion and goofing around, but mostly it's about making playing American standards, maybe some bossas, a little bit of gypsy, that kind of thing. And that is the slow jam. And it's called the slow jam because we play slowly. And the purpose of playing slowly is to give each person an opportunity to think about what they're playing so they can develop a, a, some kind of harmony over whatever the rhythm's playing. The other jam we're calling the experience jam, and we're calling it that because we're looking for people who are experienced in jamming or have played in jazz jams or ensembles before, or orchestras maybe, but people who feel comfortable to jump right in and take a solo over pretty much anything. We kind of play it all genres, old jazz from the 30s and 40s, new stuff from the 50s, 60s, and upward. And so that's the big picture of the two jams that happen. The slow jams on the third Wednesday of the month. The experience jam is on the fourth Wednesday of the month, and they're both at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock at the Davis Senior Center on the corner of 7th and 8th Street.
Okay. And by the way, just to clarify, you do meet at the senior center, but this is not a program just for seniors. Not just for seniors. And by the way, I think I heard from you somewhere else. It's not just for Davis residents as well. Is that correct?
That's right. It's really for anybody. We had a student who was a UC Davis student, a young guy who was majoring in classical piano, and he just wanted to free himself from the sheet, which is very common with musical readers. They want to improvise. They want to throw it out there. And so we've had young people, old people, but actually, I'd say most people, because it's from 3 to 5 in the afternoon, you basically either are unemployed or you could set your own hours and people show up, but it's mostly adults.
Right. Well, Ken, what was the inspiration for starting this program?
Well, it all started with playing pickleball. My wife and I took the pickleball class at the Davis Senior Center, and during a break, I was walking around the building and I was thinking this would be an awesome jam space because the rooms have carpeting, they have acoustic tiles for the ceiling. The room that we jam in most of the time has a big upholstered chairs in it, and the acoustics are very dead, and it's a perfect place for jamming. So what I did was I called up the people in charge at Davis Senior Center, who were so welcoming, and I'm so grateful to them for just saying, "Yeah, let's see how we can make this work." And they made it work with me, and it's been going since last January. So we're just coming up. We're filming now. It's November, so I'm coming up on a year of doing this now, and it's been really great. People have really gotten a lot of value out of it.
That's great. Well, congratulations on coming up to a year on that. Um, I wanted to ask you, by the way, because you're talking about this as if perhaps we all know exactly what a jam is, and I mean I think we can all picture that. But what is? Tell us more about jamming. What's distinctive about this way of playing music? How is it different, for example, from performance? And relatedly, do jams ever have an audience?
Yeah, we do have people show up just to listen sometimes, and that's they're more than welcome. It's great, but just to sort of set the stage for people, you come in and we sit in a circle. And the purpose of a jam, I have a friend who says a jam is a conversation, not a contest. So in that way, a jam is a lot more like paddleball than it is pickleball. Because in paddleball, if you've ever played that on the beach, it's that the object is to keep the ball, to work together cooperatively to keep the ball in the air as long as you can, versus pickleball, which is like tennis and you want to kill your opponent. So um, that's what a jam is. It's sort of the best example of the phrase when people talk about something where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what a jam is. It's people coming together. They're bringing forth their little contribution to the greater group, and there are moments of absolute beauty, and that's the joy of jam, is participating and creating something that is bigger than yourself, that you couldn't do alone because you need the other people to do it. And so when you come to the Davis Jam, we sit in a circle so that we can see each other. We can be in that conversation together, that cooperative conversation, otherwise known as the groove, right? You want to get in the groove. And so you need to be able to be connected. And that's really what a jam is all about, is its connection to musicians, connections to community, um, and it's an opportunity to connect and an opportunity to make something that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
and
go ahead.
I mean, you could say a lot of those same things about a performance, a formal performance. So, is there also something distinctive about this, the way that you do work together, the whole being greater than some of the parts, that is different in this context than it would be, on a stage with a formal audience and whatnot?
Yes, there is a difference. I jam a lot, just so you know. I'm a compulsive jammer. I jam all over the place, and I love jamming. And in most jams, someone calls out a tune. Hey, let's play All of Me, or you know, Nuage, or whatever, and people just play. And that's an advanced jam. But these jams are not quite like that, because what happens is I actually pull together a bunch of charts, and by charts I'm talking about fake sheets, what they call fake sheets. It's the melody line of a standard, let's say, And I email them to everybody on the email list so that you actually have the music a good 3 weeks before the jam, so you can work on, the chords. They're jazz chords. There's complication, not complication, but they're complex chords. They're more than just A or A7 or something like that. And so people can work on what the harmonies are that they want to do. They want to analyze the charts, they can do that. And so it isn't quite the live theater that you were describing, Tim. It's more like what people are there, they're prepared. They've come in, they have their sheets. I tell people to bring your music stand so they can actually look at the sheet. That's okay. You know, there's, and, because in a lot of jams that's frowned upon. But the fact is, I'm here to facilitate a jam. I'm trying to get people into it. I want them to just throw it out there. We all do it. I mean, like I think it was Miles Davis who said he's played more bad notes than good. And we're all going to do that. But it's like that's part of the exercise, because in growing more comfortable with jamming with a group of other people, you will calm down and allow yourself to become part of the groove and be in the groove and be the music. And in that comes beautiful expressions, people, and everybody's unique, interesting, different instruments.
By the way,
It's a great
I
thing.
love some of the metaphors that you've been using and some of the terms you've been using. We've titled this "Jammin' on A Street" as a reference to the fact that the senior center is on A Street. But you've given me ideas for some other ways we could have titled this. It's paddleball, not pickleball, or throwing spaghetti against the wall, or more bad notes than good notes. I think any of those would have been really nice titles.
Yeah.
Well, let me go back a moment to the fact that you've been going for a year now, which again, congratulations on that. And I'm just curious if the dynamics of the group and maybe the constitution, the composition of the group has changed much over that year.
Oh yeah, it has. I'm learning as I go about how this is going to go. But this is Davis. It's hot in the summer. People leave. They go on vacations, and people who are older usually have grandchildren's up in Seattle or somewhere they have to go visit. So what what I've seen is that it seems like we've never had the same group twice. Now, so I started in January. This is the 11th month. We've had 11 months to do this. And I had to miss a couple of them for various reasons, travel and vacation and things like that. But for the most part, there's always a good rhythm section. We mostly have bass players. I'm very excited about the fact that I met a tuba player, and he's going to come play tuba starting in January, which is going to be very fun. But we've had all kinds of people. I've had jams with one other person, and I've had up to 7 people at once. And, I can tell you, I actually wrote it down with the instrumentation that I've had. Usually there's a couple of mandolins, a bass player, guitarist. We have a trumpet, a trombone, sax player, flute player, piano player, and even a harmonica. So, and now I've got a tuba coming, which is very exciting.
That's great. That's great. Now, you mentioned that you've done a lot of jamming yourself. And in fact, when we were warming up earlier this afternoon, you mentioned you even do a lot of jamming online, which is amazing. But being the facilitator now, I'm curious if that's had any impact on your playing, uh, being a mandolin player, or any impact on just the way that you can jam with a group. What contribution has that made for you?
Well, as I like that I like to use the word facilitator, because this isn't a class, and I'm certainly not qualified. I mean, we've got a music department here in UC Davis. They would run circles around what we do. But for the slow jam, for people who are new to jazz, I will talk a little theory. with people. We need to, for instance, in rock and roll, if you know the blues, right? If you know do re mi fa sol la ti do is actually 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? Those are the notes in a scale, but they're also chords. They can be scale degrees, they call them, but chords. And most rock and roll is blues based, which is 1 4 5. And if you think of, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, one crying all the time on the one. You ain't nothing but a four hound dog crying all the time. Well, you ain't never 5, never killed a rabbit. You ain't no friend of mine. One. Okay, so that's what people call a 1 4 5 tune, right? And it is ubiquitous in folk tunes and rock and roll. It's present jazz because jazz evolved from the blues too, like everything else. And so that's what most people are used to. They come in playing 1 4 5 tunes, and that's good. But jazz is a little different, and you've got to learn things like 2 5 1s and 6 2 5 1s and 7 3 6 2 5 1s, and these different chords come at you very quickly. And so I try to set up the slow jam as the place where it's safe to ask questions, safe to have a discussion about these things. But in the final analysis, because we do talk about these things, we talk about, cadences and tritone substitutions and the like. But what we want to be doing is jamming. The purpose of these jams is to jam. It's to actually be playing and trying out your improvisation. So if somebody wanted to come in and just sit and play chords, well, that's not what this is about. It's not, we have plenty of rhythm. We don't need anyone else banging out more chords. What we need is people who want to, like I said, throw it against the wall and just do their best and see what happens. And as you said, Tim, it's live theater. So you just got to go when it's your time, and you're done when you're done. And it is what it is, and it's now in the past. It's ephemeral. And so I just, what people usually have to get over is feeling attached to their solo, like it's a big deal or a sort of a statement of who they are as a person. And it's just really not. It's just the conversation. It's just for fun.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you've gotten a lot out of this then as well. Even given all the jamming you've done, being the facilitator, sounds like that's had a wonderful impact on you. I also wanted to mention when we spoke earlier in preparation for this, you mentioned that you had married into a musical family. And I know that your wife, Barbara, is an accomplished vocalist and piano player, and her siblings are all quite musical. And, it's striking to me how these fortuitous circumstances, marriage into a musical family, the opportunity for a weekly jam in Davis, create these incredible opportunities. I mean, were it not for these, you or others might never have furthered your own musical talent. So I personally would just like to commend you for sharing your talents, for creating this opportunity for others to nurture their talents, and in so doing, enrich the cultural life of Davis.
Thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity for all of us musicians to come together and play, and I hope more people come check us out.
I hope so too. And you can check them out. The Slow Jam, as you said, is every third Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. And the Experienced Jam is every fourth Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. also. And as you see on the screen now, for more information, you can send an email to mandolincelli@gmail.com. So indeed, I have been speaking with Ken Celli about these two jazz jams that he facilitates each month. And again, that's at the Senior Center, 646 A Street in Davis. And as a reminder, this is open to musicians of all ages. Well, thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you, Tim.
And thank you all out there for joining us. I'm Tim Gaffaney, and you've been watching In the Studio on Davis Media Access.